if we have two transverse sinusoidal waves and they're going to combine together, then we should notice that this has a plus sign and this has a minus sign. Considering they both have the same K's and the same W's, we should just be able to use a little shortcut for this. That would be 2a, and then there's the sign of the kx, and then it would be a cosine of the wt. This would be the shortcut if you wanted to add those two together, and they're going in opposite directions, so this is for opposite directions. So we could simply translate this for our situation. That would be 10 sine of the pi x, and then cosine of 0.5 pi t. Now for the y maxes, this is the first part of the questions we're asked. We just need to plug in these x's into this equation. So over here we would plug in 0.27, 0.64, and then 1.7. But then we'd have to sort of ask ourselves, okay, how do we get a y max? This is just a constant right here, right? So the only thing that's going to change is this, and we basically only have the t variable here. But notice this is a cosine. So there's two ways that you can get the y max. So you could take the derivative, right? Because you would essentially, maybe you'd have like a thing like this. You could try to take the derivative, or set that equal to 0, and you could get sort of the y max from that if it wasn't a cosine. But the cool thing is the cosine is really easy to maximize because the cosine can only go from -1 to 1. And how do we get 1 from that? Well, cosine of 0 is equal to 1. So basically t has to be equal to 0. T equals 0, and because of that, we basically kind of ignore the cosine part, and we're just going to focus on this. So as soon as we plug these into the calculator, it's just going to be 10 sine of the pi times 0.27, and see, for the first one, it would be 7.5. For the next one, you just replace that with the 0.64. And then you get 9.05. For the next one, you just put in 1.7. And here we're looking for the absolute value, so it's just going to be 8.09. And so you've already got the 3 answers here for that part. Well, what about these antinodes? The antinodes are specifically when the sine kx equals plus or minus 1. And that can happen when we have x equals n, and then lambda divided by 4, if n is equal to 1, 3, or 5. So since we're looking for the x's, this is the only part that really matters to us. We basically just have to plug in these n's, and the only thing that's missing is this lambda. The lambda, that's just going to be 2 pi divided by k. And I think we know the k is supposed to be pi. And so since k is pi, then that would be lambda is equal to 2. And so now we can just sort of plug 2 in there. And then the answer to this second part over here is that we would have x is going to be equal to, well, you kind of have 1 times 0.5, and then you'd have maybe another one that would be 3 times the 0.5, and then there would be another one that would be 5 times the 0.5, and those would be your 3 points. Obviously, this would be 0.5, this would be 1.5, and this would be 2.5, and bam.